Good morning. Good morning. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show. And my name is Andre Hill Sr. and my co-host is Andre Hill Jr.
What's up? What's up? Give me a chance to say what's up. You always do that to be like,
I didn't give you a chance.
you don't ever give me a chance. You be like, it's Andre Jr. and right on the tip.
So you know when the papa bird and the chick bird is in the nest and it's time for the
Chick
chick
bird.
bird to start flying.
What?
The papa bird kicked the chick, the small, well, okay, the baby bird.
I'm almost halfway to 40, man. Halfway to 40.
All right, this is the Straight Talk Morning Show, and we are live in the In Touch News Studios, and so this is the 4th of July, and I can't say Happy 4th of July because
I ain't saying it.
because until white supremacy is dead, you know, this is still all an illusion. This is a scam and a hoax because we really don't have independence based on the laws and structures and systemic racism. So, but what I am happy about that, you know, what we were just discussing is that, you know, black people are waking up. Caucasian people that no longer want to be associated with white supremacy is waking up. And so now all we need is a plan of implementation, and it's not complicated. So let's get on into these particular topics. So last night or yesterday afternoon, I posted the topics that we were going to discuss. And one is the $64 million question. When will the Christ or aliens reveal themselves? And then I added a note to it.
Wait. You know what? I read that wrong. I didn't know. See. You know, detail is. Wait, no. So you said when will?
Yeah.
See, no. See, it says we will discuss. Oh, okay. When? Okay, and I got you. Yeah. So I read it wrong.
Yeah.
When will?
Yeah.
Christ though. Okay.
Okay. And so, you know, so a lot of people, particular, and then I had a side note, depending on whether you prefer fairy tales or you are an analytical, mathematical, or scientific thinker, whatever your flavor, we're going to deal with the question of the manifestation of a Christ being. You know, a lot of so-called Christians are waiting around for the appearance of a Christ being to just show up and say, okay, game's up, and I'm going to evaporate your body, and you come on and go up into heaven with me.
Oh, the rapture.
The rapture.
Okay.
And then you have people. Now, a lot of Caucasian people, you know, the extra ETs have already revealed themselves to them. But you don't, you know, and the only time you typically, now I'm not certain because we're going to do a show on any black folks that have had experience. I know my experience was supernatural, so I didn't have to go up into a spaceship, and I didn't have to have instruments stuck in me or extracted from me, you know. So, you know, and I'm gonna contribute that to the fact that I'm a melanated being.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm staying in my lane. Yeah. So, but so the melanated people and spiritual people are wondering, you know, how is this thing is gonna? When is that Christ, you know, that we prayed to? When is he coming? It was prophesied in Revelation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so the whole purpose of that statement is to get all of those beings, you know, those spiritual people that are growing in spirituality, whether it's Christian, Catholicism, or Islam, or whatever the case might be. The burden of the proof is that being is already within you.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah. And so, but the only way it's going to manifest is that everybody bring their being together, you know, their Christ-like being. And let me qualify that word. Christ-like being is just respecting, you know, being a benevolent soul.
Good indeed.
You know, and
following the principles of the universe, right?
Absolutely. So, all right, so we're gonna come back there. Let me finish with the topics. Okay, so you know, last week I said something about the LGBT culture, and I didn't go into enough detail. I mentioned it, and that's why I made the post that, this topic has ruined many careers because people come out and say the wrong thing, and the LGBT culture will come together and retaliate, and demand people be fired or whatever the case might be. And so, out of respect to the Most High and understanding all of the variables that could create this culture, I'm going to give it some justice. And when we get to that particular topic, so that people understand, number one, how to respect human beings no matter what the case, what their spiritual challenge is. All right? Okay, that's one. And also, when we talked about Caucasians, formerly known as white people, last week, there was a couple of elements that I didn't get a chance to get out in terms of getting their minds together as to, going out on the limb and giving up their white people card and becoming a human being.
Right.
So the one thing that most Caucasians are concerned about is, if I go out on this limb, are you all going to cut it off, and I'm going to lose my illusionary first-class citizenship of white people, or are we going to stick together as human beings? And that's a concern.
Yeah, that's a concern. But I've recently had some dialogue with some Caucasian people, and that's a valid perspective that you just articulated, right? Are they concerned about losing their white card? We want to get into that now, later. Are you going through the topics?
Well, I'm going through the topics.
Okay.
So you got to hold that point.
We'll elaborate on it later.
All right. Okay, so these are the topics, and stay tuned. Also, part of today and on this 4th of July, one of our sponsors is Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food at 2302 East 7th Avenue. All right, so you need to check them out. They're just open now on Saturdays and Sundays because all businesses are trying to regroup from this coronavirus scam, and so these businesses in the black community, whether you black, Hispanic, or Caucasian, you need to understand that, Malcolm X said something a long time ago. He said the chicken's going to come home and roost, because our country has been doing some horrible things over in different other countries under the auspices of preserving our way of life. And so America needs to understand that all of these cultures all over the planet that was dogged out by our U.S. policies, the best buffer that the United States can do to get developed now is to put black people out front, to go represent and say, look, we sorry, and we know how to fix this. Because I'm just remembering the horrible things that were done to me in this country, even back, when your grandmother had cancer, how they experimented on her with these chemotherapies, drugs, and all of that, and just burned her up. Your grandfather, who was military, he started developing problems, and when he went to the VA, they treated him like a stepchild, so when I was in Nashville, the Dixie Mafia took our business, our house and all of that. So you saw all of these things.
Yeah, I saw all of that.
Yeah. And so I was at a mindset at one point, I was just going to go buy some nuclear weapons and just blow this joint apart, and so then I had to mature. I had to understand that the Most High put me through that for a reason. And so I had to regroup. But think about all those little children all over the world that saw, our militaries that had orders to murder, kill their brothers, sisters, mothers, father, just destroy, all in the sake of preserving the American way or white supremacy.
Yeah, and extortion, really.
Yeah. All right. So what we're saying is, this government need to start empowering black leaders to go and say, I'm sorry. And part of that, in order to get the black leaders to do that, we need reparations first, because
okay, I see your strategy now. 'Cause I was about to ask you where you going with that, but yeah,
yeah, we need some reparations.
Yeah, we're gonna need some reparations.
Yeah,
and
we can't. Go ahead.
but there's a window. There's a 20-year window, and I think I'm being overzealous, so I'm giving it too much cushion of the American dollar being worth what it is, right? Um, I can imagine them wanting to put us out there in the forefront with the financial backing of the country, only to realize as we get into, say, phase two of the repairing of not only our community, then the financing of our ability to stand on the forefront of the world, representing the nation, and then our dollar be not worth a damn. You see
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah.
So with that being said, though, it's a little bit dangerous to give all the strategy out over the air, but it is what it is. We can fight for reparations, and I believe we can get them. To be honest with you, I ain't one of the ones that thinking it ain't gonna happen. We can get reparations, but we also simultaneously need to be investing in our own root country, which is Africa.
Absolutely.
Right? Because everybody knows this. All real, local and international financial analysts, they know what's about to go down with the currencies around the world, who don't have any true tangible, valuable resources that's backing up their currency anymore. So right now, take the United States. One of the main things is backing our currency right now is the military-industrial complex, which is really this. Conditioned Caucasian men, and at this point, some melanated people too, who are willing to fight for this country based on the ideals they believe in. That's what backs our dollars up right now. It ain't based on no gold. It ain't based on no tangible resource that appreciates with value. That's not what happens right now. So, the rest of the world, they looking at this and they counting their clocks. They're like, okay, so at what point is the rest of the world gonna realize that they don't really need our money for real?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to the main point, let's get prepared to not only get what we deserve out of this country for our 400 years worth of building this country for free, and also let's reach out to our family over on the other side of the Atlantic,
and the Caribbean,
and the Caribbeans,
and especially Haiti,
especially them.
Yeah.
Because they are waiting on us based on the fact that all of those nations have watched us go through the trials and tribulations in this country, and also come out pretty sharp and shiny. Given the circumstances. They know that we have a lot of experience in governmental development and also innovation. So that's what they want to collaborate with us for. So as a strategy to invest in your future, that's what we need to do. Reach out to Africa, reach out to our Caribbean family, reach out to any country who was willing to say something like this. Not only will we give you refuge, in case America started to act an ass up there on y'all, for real. But yeah, y'all can come here and stay, and we will give you the resources that you need.
Okay, so where we were headed with this? All right, we were talking about the 4th of July, right. And we was also talking about black businesses that are regrouping from the coronavirus, because all of this was planned. This was an attempt to crash the world market so that the white supremacy can hold on to this illusion one more time. This is a last desperate attempt. So what I'm saying to black folks and Caucasian folks who no longer want to associate with white supremacy, we have a restaurant, Al's Finger Looking Good. They're going to be open today at around 11:30 and tomorrow. So go ahead and support them so they can get the momentum again Just go in and buy some French fries or a chicken sandwich. The
Yeah.
food is good. The decor is beautiful. They got a huge patio out back. You can rent it for events, and
Yeah. Exactly.
and it's just a good experience because people be driving around like we don't have no black restaurants. Well, this is one,
It is.
and there are some others. And when they decide to come on board with us, we will talk about them as well. And but go and get. It's right across the street from what's the name of that bar?
The Broadway.
The Broadway Bar on 7th Avenue, 1 block north of 22nd, and the corner of 22nd and 7th Avenue. So check them out. The food is good.
22nd. That's the corner of 22nd.
It's 1 block north. I'm sorry.
1 block east.
East.
Yeah.
East. Like you're going east.
Right.
It's on the left-hand side.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So go check them out. All right. So getting back to that $64 million question about that Christ and aliens. Okay. So, I put a call out last week, was it last week? About we need 7,000 Christ-like beings.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a very small percentage because your task is worldwide. Now, we need 7,000 Christ-like beings, and you don't have to go ask your priest or your pastor for permission. You can take this on your own accord. If you feel benevolent, do you feel that you want to make a change, come join the UPA family, and we have a serious plan to interact with Africa and the Caribbeans and to stabilize those countries so that we can demonstrate that we're going to retain the natural balance of this planet, because that's what's going to help the Christ being manifest. And or in the case where black folks that are scientific, they're no longer subscribing to the European style Christianity, that are mathematically analytical minds, are saying, the resurrection of our ancestors who built those pyramids, those were extraterrestrials, but they're benevolent, and they are now dealing with us from a distance, and so in order to get those entities, those advanced black extraterrestrials to intervene, we have to come together and demonstrate by example. We have so go to UPAALL, that's UPAall.com, and sign up. We're going to have a newsletter coming out real soon that's going to give you information on how to fight the coronavirus naturally. We're going to have a newsletter revealing our financial resources, how you're going to get the hookup, and turn your neighborhood, your communities around. So that's how we're going to get this done. And even Caucasian people or Hispanic people that are feeling Christ-like, we need you to join up with it. Absolutely. We have a plan of reversing this unnatural artificial intelligence system that's trying to be installed as a last desperate attempt to keep our species divided and enslaved. That's what this all boils down to. And so the manifestation, if you want to meet extraterrestrials, if you want to see the true technology that's been developed all over the universe, we got to come together and stop being ignorant, stop fighting against each other, stop playing these games, these economic games, monopoly games of how you're going to get more, to sustain yourself, and sacrifice the natural balance of this planet. And that's what this is all about. So for all of those so-called Christians that are waiting on the rapture to just be zapped up, I mean, people are dying every day, so they're meeting, they're going and they're transitioning. And so what do you think is happening? That's their rapture right there.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So if you're sitting around waiting on a mass rapture, okay, the only way that's going to happen is we get real stupid and start firing up nuclear warheads and zap each other. Then, there's going to be a rapture, But this is all about getting every individual to find that Christ-like being, that benevolent being, that within you, and coming together with like-minded people and say, how are we going to fix this on our planet? Because it's a parasite. It's a little parasite entity that's manipulating us, just like in the Wizard of Oz. I keep repeating that over and over, show after show, but there's a reason we're trying to hammer that into the subconscious to understand you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray. And so we're going to resurrect that Christ being through a collective order. And for those of you that are tired of the game and the BS, go to upall.com. Let us know you're ready to join up with us. You're ready to develop a collective order so that we can fix this, because it's not going to fix itself. I promise you. And those ETs, they're just like, you have to put yourself in the mindset of, well, we're somewhat intelligent. But if you go into a camp with a bunch of chimpanzees, right? Mm-hmm. You know that they are 10 times stronger than you. And that if you don't come in there with some kind of illusion to create a fear factor, they will tear your butt apart, And so,
or with some tools,
right? And unless you can't go in there and reveal yourself to them on a par basis, unless they demonstrate that, hey, okay, I know I'm a chimpanzee, I know I'm 10 times stronger than you, but I have evolved to a level where I'm going to respect you. You weak little humanoid. I'm not going to rip you apart. We're going to sit down and establish dialogue. But until that chimpanzee demonstrate that, you got to put him in a cage. You got to have some kind of illusion of some firepower to shark treatment or whatever the case might be.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So my bad. I was responding to Facebook posts, because I want to kind of keep tabs on people that's talking to us.
Okay.
But that's all I want to say, though. Let's be a little cognizant. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, cognizant.
Yeah. of our audience, and this is what I'm getting at. So let's reconstruct the narrative of ETs. First of all, when you say the word ET, that separates those galactic and most high beings from us when we say the word extraterrestrial. Because extraterrestrial means you ain't from here.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, now we are they and they. Well, we are them and they are us.
Absolutely.
So when we talking about them, let's talk about them as if they are the family that they are. The same way when different religious doctrines elaborate on angels, people don't think angels are separate from them. I'll take that back. To some extent, they do, but they feel like, based on whatever narrative they subscribe to, it's one big happy family. So when we're thinking about any of our guardians, any of our angels, any of our higher vibratory beings, we have to remind ourselves that we are connected to them. There's not a separate agenda for them to exterminate us based on our level of evolution or lack thereof. It's more of a, just if we're thinking about somebody that is or some entity that is above us, then we have to think of them as if they are a parent. Now, I ain't got no children. You got children. But if I was some kind of deranged tyrant, regardless of, you still would not cast me away and be like, well, I'm going to scrap that whole project, right? You would try to find a way to be like, all right, so how do I work with this child? So any high vibratory being knows that everybody in this universe has their particular purpose in their niche in this universe, in this ecosystem, in this galactic universal ecosystem. Everybody knows that everybody plays a part. Well, higher vibratory beings know that everybody plays a part. So I think so for the sake of everybody listening, we don't want to scare them like, if y'all don't get y'all ish together, then it's the end of the road for you, and But just in parallel to whatever concept that they may subscribe to, whether it's the rapture, whether it's nirvana, wherever it is, the quote unquote, ET doctrine.
Now, in reference to scaring,
yeah.
if watching policemen kill your people out in the street ain't scary enough for you, to get with this program, I don't know what to say. That's the reality that the white supremacists have come to a point where we can't fake the funk anymore, so we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, white supremacy has.
Yeah,
but not high vibratory beings.
So for all of those that are still struggling with ETs, extraterrestrials, go online, look at the Hubble
Hubble telescope.
Telescope.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened just then.
That's all good.
So look, and you will see 1 billion stars. That's based on limited primitive technology. So beyond those billion stars are probably 10 more billion. And so there are beings that have originated and the universe keeps expanding. So there are probably millions of civilizations just like ours that had to go through where we are right now. And some of them have acquired a level of technology where they have seeded us here on this planet, and they are still overseeing us. They are still maintaining some sense of balance. But they are waiting on us to wake up and stop dealing with these petty differences or greed or I got to outdo each other, and that's just the bottom line of what this is all about. So they will appear, they will expose themselves when we prove that we are civilized. That's the point I'm getting at. When we prove that if they come and reveal themselves, are we going to analyze them and say, oh man, they've been faking us out. They got all this advanced technology to make them appear to be superior to us, but they're even weaker than we are physically. So they want us to respond by saying, even though we might be physically stronger, we respect your parenting. Or
wait. There is even in the extraterrestrial paradigm of thought, the narrative ain't that we stronger than them. That ain't what it is. I mean, even if you watch every ET movie, half the time they stronger than us. They kicking out. So that's my point I'm getting at. Let's just make sure we conveying the message right.
Okay. All right. So, but the bottom line is, people want to know. So many people say, "Well, you believe in ETs? Where are they? Why haven't they shown themselves?" Yeah. So to a lot of the Caucasian cultures, they've shown themselves to them because they have a different contract with their Caucasian subjects. But a lot of the black aboriginals, the original humans on this planet, they're not having enough encounter. But if you do, and you're listening to this show this morning, and you've had an encounter with the black ETs, hey, send us a note. Say hello, and let us know about your experience, because we do plan to do a show on black folks having unusual, extraordinary experiences.
Yeah, that's a fact. We are gonna do that.
Okay,
indeed.
We got a break coming up, and we'll be right back. We're gonna deal with the LGBT culture.
Well, no, what she said we got. We how long we got? We ain't got that much time.
I can feel 25 seconds.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what we're, the situation here is people are sitting around praying and waiting. When is Jesus gonna come and just manifest and just take us up? So, we got to work on that piece, y'all. We got to work on that. It's in you. The Christ is inside of you, waiting to come out.
Christ likes beings inside.
Yeah,
that's a fact. It's a frequency. It's a vibration. Anyway, we'll be right back, family, right after this break.
Yeah.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
This is the recipe you've been waiting for. A little bit of smooth mixed with a lot of soul.
For real, player.
You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other
and had
in
no
no time.
idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm
don't
and keep
ignore
to the
this
plan.
message.
Some parents plan ahead. Some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
All right, we're back, and so we had someone ask a question about your personal experience. You know, melanated people, whether you're melanated, whatever, and when you reach a high level of consciousness, yes, you will have a personal, individual experience, a confirmation. And I was explaining to the person that posted that I had a personal encounter, and it redesigned my spiritual DNA. But now I'm seeking other people, you know, that have had those experiences, and I want to join forces with them. And it's without ego. It's with unconditional love. That, listen, let's come together and work some miracles. All right, so we're gonna talk more about that show, and we're gonna have another show coming up real soon where people that have had spiritual experiences and they're trying to discern what was the message in that, you know, because a lot of people are like, you know, they're still using the King James Version of the Bible as a reference point to describe that encounter. Well, we have a scientific, mathematical component help you discern what they were saying to you and how you're going to receive more information to restore balance on this planet. All right, so moving right along. So last week I talked about the LGBT culture, and I was using it in respect or reference to that entity, the parasite to those who say Satan or the devil, or that whatever that entity that the Most High allowed to come and test us on this planet. It's always looking for weaknesses in our culture, and it preys on those weaknesses, like white supremacy. That's a weaknesses. That's based on one group of people saying we're superior to everybody because of the color of our skin. That's madness. And so now that game has played out. And so, you know, the LGBT community is mad because, you know, I watched a documentary during the Eisenhower administration. And so that had to be back in the 50s. Yeah. And all of a sudden somebody came up with this bright idea. We're going to fire or ask anybody that has unusual sexual preferences to resign because the enemy is going to use that to blackmail you, to get secrets.
I got you.
And so there was a mass firing or pressure to get people with different sexual orientation to resign.
Got you.
All right? And you can imagine how devastating that was, And so, and then we have so-called Christians walking around saying, well, homosexuality is a sin, is an abomination. Well, okay, so before, first of all, in the so-called Christian doctrine, it says, judge not and you shall not be judged, or you without sin cast the first stone. So most humans don't understand the dynamics of the universe, of the spiritual and the physical plane, and how they tie into each other. And so if you go out and attack a person because of their spiritual challenge, and you got spiritual challenges too, but you're going to say, my spiritual challenge is not as bad as yours. So I'm going to attack you, beat you up, murder you, fire you, do that. That is wrong as hell. Because number one, you don't know what that particular challenge is. That challenge for that individual could have happened thousands of years ago in previous lives. And so who we really need to blame is the religious doctrine that on one hand they'll say in this universe, in God's universe, all things are possible, but on the other hand they'll say, well, reincarnation is that's possible. You only get one life. But then on the other hand they'll say life is eternal. I mean, it's madness. So we're here. We're going to straighten this record out. We're here to straighten out the record on this issue with the LGBT community. If you are in that culture, there's a reason for that. And it has to do with some previous life encounters. It could have been you encouraged it, or could have been you saw it happening and did not say anything. It could be a number, or to a lot of these ignorant people that go out and beat them up or attack them or murder them because they don't understand the dynamics of the universe. So you know what's going to happen, right? In the next life, they're going to come back with that same challenge. And here's the issue. The issue is, well, I'm a man trapped in a woman's body, or I'm a woman trapped in a man's body. So the key word is trap. Okay, so are you trapped, for a particular reason? Is there some karma that you brought into this lifetime? And so what the disjustice that the religious doctrines didn't do to correct this, because if you're saying that you're trapped, then you're not happy with that alignment. So how do we get back to the natural alignment? And so if you understood that, okay, well, maybe, in my dealings in the future with other people, I'm going to change my perception, perspective in terms of how I engage with people. Or I'm not going to say to people, just like in white supremacy, if you don't subscribe to my sexual preference, then I'm going to fire you from your job, or I'm going to discriminate against you, or I'm going to call up and get, this thing goes both ways. And so if you're in a situation where you're saying, I am in an unnatural situation, how do we fix that? First and foremost, we got to fix it by facing the truth and the reality of the situation. And that's not being revealed, in the religious organizations, because in 553 AD, the Catholic Church purposely removed that component from the religious doctrines. And so if even if these crazy people that will go out and judge and attack person because of their spiritual challenges, they don't understand in the next life they're going to come back with the same challenge, so they can learn to respect that. And so that's one of the main things. So this parasite, what I was giving reference to, this parasite, devil, Satan, whatever you want to call this negative entity, it will now use that spiritual challenges to rally a collective order to retaliate against people. And so the same law, the so-called comment of vengeance is mine, said the law, the Lord, so you don't have to worry about retaliating. Just like, I had to calm down and didn't want to retaliate against the Dixie Mafia, because I had one to call me up and say, well, and by the way, I'm going to take your car. I said, and I was at the last straw. You remember Rivera?
Yeah.
He just said, I'm taking your car. This was a Dixie Mafia up in Tennessee. I said, and if you do, I will go buy 5 nuclear warheads and turn this whole state of Tennessee into a valley, a real valley. I was at that point. But this was a material possession that it took me to that point to want to retaliate. So the Spirit spoke to that Caucasian man, and he said, oh, nah, man, it ain't that serious. Come get your car, But it also said to me that it's not that serious. All of these material possessions can be replaced. But if you go blow up a whole state of Tennessee with all these little babies and different cultures, that didn't have nothing to do with this ignorance, then all of that karmatic debt will then come on you. Yeah, so I had to deal with that. So I had to, so I have in my family member people with spiritual challenges of sexual preference. And I don't love them any more or less, than any other people in my family.
Right.
Right. And I love them,
Of course.
Yeah. And so, but, the reality, if they come to me and say, how am I dealing with this situation? What do you think about it? And even when I was in Nashville, I told a brother, I said, hey, it's all karma. It's about karma. You can fix it in this lifetime so that in the next lifetime, you won't have to be trapped in a body that you prefer not to be. I like being a man. And if I had to come back next life and be a woman, I'd be all discombobulated. Huh? And there are women that like being women, And so, so how do you fix that? First we got to deal with the root of the problem that is the truth and get rid of the deception, but nobody has the authority or the right to judge any human on this planet. No other human, because we all have spiritual challenges. What we need to do is come up with an environment to change that narrative in our culture, And so that's my take on it. You from your generation, you kind of like dismiss.
This topic is like this. This topic is a whole show all on its own. So I mean, truth of the matter is, your generation can speak on it, and based on your eldership, you get a certain reaction. My generation speaks on it. We gotta really open up the real can of worms. So, but you spoke, on behalf, so it's all good.
So, they are my people, my family, and I love them. But I caution, don't use that flag to do the same thing to other people that was done to you. Yeah, that's one of the key things, because that's going to add more karmatic debt.
I was about to ask you what flag you talking about, but I got you.
Yeah, well, any flags to say, we all pink people, or we all blue people, and we're better than everybody else, or we're going to stick together because you're not blue, and we're going to shut you down, So, so it applies to whether it's white supremacy, black supremacy, or the LGBT community, or what are some other divisive cultures that the bad aliens, or the devil, or Satan, like
you got. I mean, you got secret
religion
societies, you got deep state people, you got communists, you got far right wing people, you got far left wing people, you got all kind of groups out there, man. It's just they going through their attrition process.
Well, the bottom line, the special note is that negative entity will identify all of the weaknesses within our species and will amplify them, highlight them, accentuate them, whatever necessary to keep division going on in our species. And until we get rid of all of these weaknesses, until we do that, we're gonna go through a cycle of, like Sodom and Gomorrah. You get to a point, and if we're not being spiritually productive, then that more advanced ET will shut us down. Yeah.
Well, you get put through the washer. So
absolutely,
you get put through the washer.
All right. So
that going on.
So the third topic. Okay. All right. So my Caucasian brothers and sisters, that may not be blonde, blue-eyed, and we're going to go back and deal with blonde, blue-eyed too. We understand how that came about. But to the Caucasian brothers and sisters that are trapped in between being blonde and blue-eyed, having a white person's card, and then wanting to be human, that the ones that, especially the ones that woke up and said, no, we know what's going down. We know that they're setting up black people in America for a murderous deluge on the streets, so they intervene and they interwoven themselves in that protest and those demonstrations, knowing that those white supremacists were not going to kill them.
Right.
Not just going to create a massacre type of situation.
Oh yeah, this is the topic we were supposed to touch back on, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to come back around to. Yeah. So I had an interesting conversation with two Caucasian girls, with two Caucasian women the other day, and the basis of the conversation was about environmental sustainability, though, right? And one of them reached out to me based on a presentation that I did on another Zoom meeting. So she wanted to know a little bit more about our organization and what we were about and what we how we seeing changing the paradigm here. And so so I got on a call with her and another young lady. We had a very interesting conversation. Now, these two Caucasian women, I want to assume they're about my age. I didn't ask. They were who you just talked about. They were for the Black Lives Matter movement. They're the type to be like, hey, listen, like let me stand in front of black people to make sure that my other Caucasian counterparts do not act too aggressively towards black people, because I know they ain't gonna do nothing to me, right? Mm-hmm. But so that's the two type of women that they were. So we had an interesting conversation about the entire racial atmosphere in this country right now, and then how once the division dies down, the next battlefront is technically getting this planet back online, right? In other words, preserving this planet as much as we possibly can. Because like you were saying, there's division on many different levels. The division based on on stuff like race right now, that is a menial divisive tactic that keeps your eyes off of the more bigger problem, which is the destruction of the planet based on the different types of technologies that people are wanting to implement without regard to the health of the planet, to be honest with you. So what I was telling them was like, listen, so I was raised by a Malcolm X type of father, and so from about age 10 years old, like I've been looking at this world without the foggy glasses on. Like those got white from me at a young age. So I've been looking at this for 20 plus years. Now, I might in comparison to other people, that's not a very long time. But for my generation, that is longer than most. right? That's longer than most people. So through that time, it's like I've developed a different type of skin, a different type of mentality, or a tenure in mentality that brings me to a certain way of thinking when we're talking about racial tension or racial disparities or inequalities in this country. And so I told him, I said, listen, I notice when you're talking to me, you're doing everything you can not to offend me, basically. I told him straight up. It's like right now, I don't want you to do that right now. It's like, listen, because I'm gonna keep it straight with you. I'm gonna break all the ice that's there to be broken. So I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. So, and I want you to tell me exactly how it is that how you feel and you see things seriously. So, by the end of this conversation, though, they felt like, okay, so this is a black man who's not in his feelings about racial conversations, right? He's going. I mean, if I say something to him and it's erroneous based on facts, he's gonna check me on that. If I say something to him that makes sense, he's gonna agree with that. So, and the bottom line of it is, he understands that, okay, so there are issues within the Caucasian community that need to be addressed. But also, but he's able to recognize Caucasian people who are willing to say, wait a minute now, I don't want to be a part of that. I just want to play my part in the bigger picture, which is essentially preserving the planet. The point I'm getting at, especially talking to black folks, is once we get past, or let me say it like this, once we get to a place of autonomy to where we're controlling our own stuff, the racial stuff goes out the window. You ain't got to worry about that. I said that to these two Caucasian women. I said, if we was in our own neighborhood, controlling our own stuff, it's like, and you wouldn't care about nobody's opinion, and you wouldn't care about nobody coming in and taking yours because you would protect yours. You wouldn't care about how somebody feels about you from a racial standpoint. That's what we need to get to. Well, we got to get, like, mind you, I'm saying this to you. We got to get above and beyond just continuously perpetuating victimhood strategies, and let's get into owning and controlling. That's the only way you mitigate racism. It's like you can't control nobody else's opinion. All you can do is control and own your own That's all you can do, and then let your chips fall where they may. Now, so again, I said that to these two Caucasian women. They said, "Hey, I feel you."
Yeah. So here's the thing, and that's good to know, because that's your generation. They were in your age group.
I want to assume I want to say it somewhere in my age group.
All right. So here's one of the things, the two issues that I wanted to say to Caucasian people. That first of all, come join up with us, because one of the things in our agenda, we're telling our people, you don't need to retaliate. I think Caucasian people are fearful of retaliation, that we're going to do the same thing to them that was done to us. All right. So one of the things that we preach and within our organization is no, karma is colorblind. And so so a lot of those black people. Now, this is going to be a difficult statement. That's being hanged, still murdered, and killed like that. Those are the Caucasian people's grandparents who died and reincarnated in black bodies.
Oh yeah, you know, I got a different.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
but
so yeah,
that's a whole new show right there.
Yeah, all of our topics. Yeah. And so that's so you don't have to fear if you ready to go out on the plane. You don't have. It's not that type of situation. All you're doing is you giving up your white card for a human card. Because the white card is not going to work anymore. The Ku Klux Klan was talking about we need to ride again. That crap ain't gonna fly.
No,
black folks, you have to go back in history. They did that because they thought black folks were afraid of ghosts, so they put on white sheets, act like ghosts, to create fear. But we're not going along with that. Those tactics are not going to work. So the main thing too, the Republican agenda, you have to understand, That whole party needs to be reconstructed because it found out by creating racist overtones that would get a large voting block of Caucasian people that want to maintain their privileged white person card, that would get them to vote for racism. So all of that's being reconsidered because now, they're seeing with the current administration or Democrats. There's still Democrats and that are trying to maintain white supremacy. So we got to focus on that. So go to UPAALL, you Caucasian, you ready to give up your white people's card to get with a human card? Join us. We're not about retaliating. We need resources. We need donations. Send $1, send $5. Go to UPAALL.com, send an email, make a donation, and ask us how can you participate in a plan of restoring the natural order, the natural balance on this planet. We have a plan.
Oh, you're right.
Yes, we do. All right, so this has been the Straight Talk Morning Show. We're going to have some upcoming topics. Different people from the community are going to be talking about what's going on in their community. And don't forget, go by Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food at 2302 East 7th Avenue. The food is good. The decor is beautiful. So we're going to be there partying this weekend. Take care.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer.